Well, our top story, the impact of COVID for job losses in the country. The Centre for Monitoring the Indian Economy have come out with a report where they've identified job losses of 1.89 crores in the last few months. So 1.89 crore job losses since when? Since April. The salaried jobs are 22% lower than the last financial year. The fall in salaried jobs is uniform across rural and urban India. Nearly 50 lakh jobs have been lost in July. Now, the non-salaried jobs have picked up. The non-salaried employment has risen to 2.5%, and has generated 8.8 million jobs. The manufacturing sector has been worst hit. What exactly do these trends indicate in terms of the economy? Mahesh Vyas, the Managing Director and CEO of the Centre for Monitoring the Indian Economy, joins us now. Thank you very much, Mr. Vyas, for joining us. What I found really interesting was that there is a transfer of jobs from the regular sector to the unorganized sector. That number seems to be going up, but all of those individuals in that second sector are not salaried. They are there on a part-time basis. Their income may not be regular at all. That's a huge concern, isn't it?
That's right. So what has happened is a lot of the informal jobs are back. There is also an increase in employment, and that is particularly in the farming sector. The farm sector is doing well, and therefore the jobs over there have grown. So that's good for the remaining sectors, but the jobs which are the most desired jobs are the better jobs, the better paying jobs are the ones that have taken a hit. So we are still seeing a large gap in salaried jobs. Salaried jobs dipped in July, and that was very disappointing, because it looked like salary jobs will also recover with the rest, or at least not fall further, but they fell in July, and therefore the deficit is quite high now.
And the other point I noticed, the numbers also seem to indicate that the wage spend by companies is at a real low. And that is perhaps indicative of where companies stand. There are over 1,000 companies which you actually looked at, and the overall spend by corporates has gone down substantially.
So we studied the June quarterly financial statements released by listed companies of a little over 1,500 companies. And we found that the growth, year-on-year growth in wages and salaries of these companies grew barely by 3%, which is the lowest growth in the entire history of the corporate sector interim results. We also found that there is a sharp decline in manufacturing companies. Financial sector companies, particularly banks, have not done too badly. Wages over there have not dipped. They have in fact grown at the normal rate that they do grow. Securities broking companies are also doing quite well on salaries, but the rest of them, and particularly manufacturing, is doing extremely badly.
What are some of the other sectors other than manufacturing which are causes of real concern?
This is the case in tourism, in hotels, even in the transport sector. Road transport sector, for example, is doing very badly. Construction, real estate sector is doing badly. So even in the services sector, besides the banking and broking sectors, the other services, financial and non-financial services, they're all doing pretty badly. It just varies by magnitude. But if you look at those industries which are doing badly to the extent of 20% down compared to a year ago, those are like hotels, tourism, and road transport, real estate, in the services sector. In the manufacturing sector, you have a whole lot of them, whether it is cement or it is metals, automobiles, automobile ancillaries. Textiles is doing very badly, 30% down. So that stress on salaries, on wages, and on employment seems to have been very severe in the quarter ended June 2020. And these are only 1,500 companies,
right,
out of a total lot of 4,500 companies that released this. And we can assume that the better companies release their results a little early. So as new results come in over the next 1 month, these numbers could start looking worse.
And Is there any uptick on anything as far as the economy is concerned, or do we remain completely bound by COVID at this stage?
There were good indications of the economy bouncing back from the terrible month of April, and we did bounce back from there to better levels in the months of May and June, particularly June. But after that, we seem to have stagnated. There was a good recovery in the agricultural sector, therefore rural sector, because of Manrega spending by the government and because of Kharif sowing. But that's kind of past its peak. So I don't see much bounce coming in the near future now.
All right, Mr. Vyas, thank you very much for sharing those details. A matter of huge concern as we look at trying to get our economy back on track, but the impact of COVID still very evident. Thanks very much for joining us.